Guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're doing my Premier League predictions video. I got a new backdrop, as you can see. Got the Messi jersey, got the Son Dempsey jersey, and even today got the new Christian Pulisic jersey. But we're not here to talk about any of those players. We're here to talk about Premier League predictions. That's right, we're doing my Premier League predictions video today. I got my laptop right here, so if you see me looking over here, it's because I'm looking at my notes. But with that being said, I'm recording 2 days before the season so I can give myself the best possible chance with transfers coming in and out. If any of these transfers make a big difference, we're going to see. That's why I'm recording kind of late. So hopefully this video will be out before first kickoff Friday, which is Man City versus Burnley. But with that being said, we're going to get right into it. Starting off with 20th place, the first relegation. It's one of the newly promoted teams, and that is Luton Town. I think a lot of people have Luton Town going down, and I think they have themselves going down, if I'm honest with you, because the players they brought in are mid-championship level players like Giles Chong, formerly of Man United, and Nakambia from Aston Villa. Other than that, they haven't really brought anyone in. They brought in Ross Barkley today, who was on a free. They haven't really brought in anyone, and I think they're prepared to be relegated. That's why they brought in these championship level players to compete again next season when they're relegated. The next relegation zone spot I have is another newly promoted team, and that is Sheffield United. Sheffield United got rid of their two best players. They got rid of Ndiaye, who went to Marseille, I believe, and then they just got rid of Sander Berge, who went to Burnley. You sold him to another Premier League team, and he was your best player, and that's a great pickup for Burnley. Very tall, very physical, very good on the ball, has a good eye for a pass. That's a good signing from Burnley, but Sheffield United haven't really brought in anyone. I mean, they brought in Austin Trusty from Arsenal, of course, USA player, but it's not enough. They haven't done good business, and I think they're going to go right down. Getting into the next and last relegation spot, I have Wolves, and I think some people have Wolves going down, but I can see why. I mean, they lost Raul Jimenez, they lost Ruben Neves, they lost Nathan Collins, they don't have Connor Cody, Adama Traore, Diego Costa, João Moutinho. They've lost a lot. They lost mainly their whole starting 11 from last season, which even last season they weren't even that great anyway. They brought in Cunha on a permanent. They brought in a guy named Boubacar Traore on a permanent. Duarte came back from Atletico, rejoining Wolves, and I just don't think they have enough, honestly. It's not a good team. Lopetegui is gone. They brought in O'Neill, the former Bournemouth manager. That's a great manager, but it's not looking good for Wolves, and I think they're going to go down, if I'm honest with you. Now, the next picks, I would say 17th through 10th, it's a lottery pick, if I'm being completely honest with you. Any of these teams could finish anywhere, and I think that's every season, but this season specifically, it is really hard. And in 17th place, I have Everton. Everton have been fighting relegation the last couple seasons, of course. They got in Sean Dyche, who I thought was a good pickup, of course, sacking Frank Lampard, and I think Sean Dyche will keep them staying in the top flight, but barely. They brought in Danjuma, who was originally going to come last season, but ended up going to Spurs. Ashley Young, a veteran pickup. I mean, he's like 38 years old now. Dele Alli is back from his loan, but what's he going to bring, honestly? It's not the same Dele Alli from 5 years ago. And then they have Braithwaite back from loan, who's a young center back. The reason I remember him is because he scored against Chelsea when we lost, but I don't want to talk about that. But yeah, Everton just haven't done enough business. And they're about to lose Damari Gray as well. Supposedly he wants to move to Fulham. That's another big loss. That's one of their key attacking options. I just don't see Everton doing well this season. I think they'll barely stay up. I won't be surprised if they get relegated, though. Going into 16th place, I have Bournemouth. Bournemouth was a shock, but they stayed up last season. And I think their manager is excellent. I think they have a really good manager, and they've brought in players like Traore, Krekes, Favre, and Justin Kluivert, and Max Aarons, who they just got today as well. They hijacked the Leeds for that, the fullback from Norwich. I think Bournemouth have done a lot of good pickups. They have a solid manager, and I think they'll stay up. But again, they could be relegated. Now, the next pick I have in 15th place, I have Crystal Palace. Roy Hodgson. I think everyone was shocked last year that Patrick Vieira went out and sacked, and they brought in Roy Hodgson, who's like 90 years old at this point. But Roy Hodgson came in, and Crystal Palace were so much better. I mean, they jumped all the way to, 11th last year? But I think this year will be a little bit more of a struggle, especially if they lose Elise, who's supposedly going to Chelsea or Man City on his release clause. If they lose Elise, that could honestly make the big difference, whether they finish higher than 15th or lower than 15th. They lost Wilfried Zaha as well, their key man. Going to Galatasaray, Wilfried Zaha's a big loss, but they have recruited pretty well. They got in Jefferson Lerma from Bournemouth, who's a solid midfielder. Matheus Franca, I don't know too much about him. Supposedly good young player. And then Lewis Hall coming on loan. That's a great pickup. I would know as a Chelsea fan. I wish he would stay and Cucurella would go the other way. But Lewis Hall signed a new contract with Chelsea, going on loan to Crystal Palace. That's a great pickup for them, honestly. He can play left back, midfield, and even winger if you really want him to. He's a great player to have. But Crystal Palace, I don't think they'll have any problem staying up, whether it's 15th or higher. But I think Elise will make a difference on their position, whether he stays or goes. Going into 14th place, I have Nottingham Forest. A lot of people are writing off Nottingham Forest, whether they're being relegated or even lower than 14th. I like this Nottingham Forest team, you know. Brought in Anthony Elanga from Man United, young winger from Sweden. Great pickup. Ola Aina, is that how you say his name? Former Chelsea fullback. Torino, played 1 year at Fulham. Great fullback as well. Can go up and down that pitch from corner flag to corner flag. Is a good fullback, good wing back. Ethan Horvath back on loan from Luton, but that don't really matter. They brought in Matt Turner from Arsenal. That's a great pickup. And I'm not going to try to sound too biased with Matt Turner, but he's a great goalkeeper. I don't care what anyone says. Matt Turner is a great goalkeeper. Of course, they don't have Keylor Navas, 5-time Champions League winner or 4-time whatever. But Matt Turner's a solid goalkeeper, and I think Nottingham Forest are going to be really, really happy with that recruitment because he's a solid goalkeeper. I think they'll be happy with him, honestly. Going into 13th place, I have the last promoted team, and that is Burnley. Burnley look amazing. They did really well in the championship last year. Vincent Kompany, their manager, of course, they got them playing a good passing, technical type of football that's really attractive to watch. It's not that old school Burnley, kick it up the field, be physical, and hope for the best defensively. No, they've done well. They brought in players like Sander Berge, as I said earlier, from Sheffield. They brought in Trafford Amuni. I don't know too much about him, but he's a striker. Nathan Redmond on a free. The only real loss they had was Ian Matson, who they had on loan last year from Chelsea. And they lost their captain, or one of their captains, Ashley Barnes. But Burnley looked good, and I like the way they're playing under Vincent Kompany. It's not the same old Burnley you see, and I think they'll be up there no problem. They could finish higher, we'll see. But, yeah, Burnley shouldn't have any problem staying up, if I'm completely honest with you. In 12th place, this is my biggest lottery pick, I think, in my opinion, out of my whole table, because they could finish here, or they could get relegated, and that's Fulham. I have Fulham in 12th. Fulham, I believe, finished 10th last year. Have good players. They brought in Calvin Bassey from Ajax, good center back. As I said, Damari Gray could be coming from Everton. That'd be a good pickup. And they brought in Raul Jimenez because I think they're expecting Mitrovic to go to Saudi Arabia. We don't know yet. I mean, Mitrovic, I think, will force a move, but we'll see. I think that's why they brought in another big physical striker like Raul Jimenez to replace him. But Solomon has gone to Spurs, and then they could lose Willian, who just signed a new 1-year extension. He wants to go to Saudi, apparently, but who knows with Fulham? They could finish, like, I have them in 12th. They could finish 12th, or they could get relegated, honestly. As much as I like Fulham, I like Anthony Robinson, Tim Ream, but I don't really know with Fulham. That's kind of the biggest lottery pick I have, if I'm honest. Now, in 11th place, I have West Ham United. Losing Declan Rice is going to be very pivotal for West Ham. You can't replace Declan Rice. You can bring in reinforcements and use that Declan Rice money to bring in better players, but they haven't done that. They brought in Edson Alvarez. That's a good number 6 to bring in the Mexican from Ajax. That's a good pickup. And supposedly they're about to splash 70 mil with combined for Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't rate them, but I know a lot of people do rate Harry Maguire. That's why he's so successful with England. That's why he can't get picked out the team currently somehow. But I don't know. West Ham, you can't replace Rice. They're going to be in Europa League after winning the Conference League. It's going to be a weird year for them, and they're definitely going to have to reinforce and spend better, if I'm honest with you. They lost Skamaka as well, who went to Atalanta. Lanzini going on a free, and then Declan Rice going to Arsenal. We knew that was going to happen. But, yeah, I got West Ham finishing 11th. In 10th place, I have Brentford going back-to-back in the top half of the table. I think Brentford look really good. I think them not having Ivan Toney is going to be a major, major loss until January. But it's going to be a big year for, what's his name, Mbeumo, is that his name? He's going to have a big year for Brentford. And he's going to have to step up, bringing in Nathan Collins as well, the big center back from Wolves. That's a good pickup. I think Brentford have a good style of play. They have the fan base to back them as well, and I think they'll have no problem staying up this year, honestly. And I think they'll finish top half of the table again. Now, 9th through 3rd, another lottery. I know I keep saying that's word of the day, lottery. But It's so hard because any of these teams could finish top 4. Well, top 5 now, technically, because it might be top 5 get Champions League now. But we don't know with the new format. That's a whole new thing. But in 9th place, I have Brighton. I don't like saying Brighton are going to finish 9th because they clearly have the capabilities to finish higher. They brought in João Pedro from Watford. Great striker to pick up. Great young striker to pick up. They brought in Verbruggen, who's a good goalkeeper to replace Sanchez, who has went to Chelsea. They brought in a Brazilian center back name. Is his name Eeyore, I believe? I don't know too much about him. Apparently he's good. Mohamed Dahoud, great pickup from Dortmund. James Milner, good veteran. Good Premier League reliability you have there. Captain material. But they lost players like Alexis McAllister. Undav, who's gone to loan to Stuttgart. Caicedo could be gone. We don't know what's happening with Caicedo yet. And then Robert Sanchez, they lost their... Well, they got the goalkeeper replacement. But I think with them playing European football, it's going to be a very busy schedule for Brighton this year. And I think them finishing 9th is fair, honestly. They could finish higher, though. They really could. They're a really good team. Robert I don't know how to say these names, but you know what I mean. I think Brighton will finish 9th. They could finish higher, though. But they have a really, really good squad. So we'll see. In 8th place, this is going to be a little controversial. 8th and 7th is going to be very controversial. 8th, I have Spurs. Yes, they have brought in a lot of good players. They brought in James Maddison. They brought in Pedro Porro on a permanent. Kulusevski on a permanent. Solomon. Vendeven from Wolfsburg, the young Dutch center back. Harry Kane is probably going to stay. But even with Harry Kane, I still got him in 8th. I like their coach, the one they signed from Celtic. They got a really, really good coach. But I think they're in a rebuild transition. No European football. They could finish higher because of no European football, but I think they're in that transition phase. It's going to take some time to rebuild, get everyone firing and going, and then go for it next year. Go for a trophy, go for a cup next year. But we'll see. 7th place, I'm going to have these fans attack me. I have Liverpool finishing 7th. I think a lot of people are overestimating Liverpool, to be honest with you. They lost Jordan Henderson. They lost Fabinho. They lost Roberto Firmino. They don't have the midfield anymore. Yes, they brought in Alexis McAllister and Szoboszlai, the Hungarian from RB Leipzig. 2 very good pickups. But they have to learn the Jurgen Klopp style. Is Jurgen Klopp getting gassed out at this point? Who knows? But I think a lot of people don't realize how much of a loss Jordan Henderson's going to be in Fabinho. I know there was a lot of complaints in the midfield from last year, but I don't see that fire in them like they usually have. I think they have a lot of gassed out players. I like the likes of Cody Gakpo. Darwin Núñez has said he's going to be going full force this year. Again, could finish higher, but I have them in 8th. 7th, I'm sorry. I have them in 7th, but we'll see. I think it's going to take some time to rebuild. In 6th place, I have Aston Villa. I have Aston Villa in 6th place. Unai Emery has done a superb job there. They look so good. They could be a surprise top 4 finish this year. They really could. Pau Torres partnering Diego Carlos. Diego Carlos is going to feel like a new signing this year after being injured almost the whole season last year after playing one game, if that. Then they brought in Moussa Diaby. A lot of teams wanted Moussa Diaby, a great winger from Bayer Leverkusen. Then they brought in Yuri Tillemans as well in center mid from Leicester. That is amazing recruitment. They got European football. That's going to be a little bit of an issue, travel and everything and scheduling. But I really think they can make a push for top 4 this year. I think they'll finish in 6th, though. But that's my pick. Aston Villa, I remember seeing them live about a week ago, and they looked incredible. They really, really did. And I think what Unai Emery has done there is absolutely amazing. And they'll have no problem competing this year, if I'm honest. In 5th place, I have Newcastle. Yes, they have Champions League. I think they're going to have a little bit of tiredness in them, and they're going to have to be a little bit more focused this year. The schedule, Wednesday, Sunday. They're going to have to get used to that. They did bring in a lot of great players. They brought in Harvey Barnes from Leicester. They brought in Livramento from Southampton, great young fullback. Sandro Tonali is an incredible pickup. I can't believe he's at Newcastle, if I'm honest with you. But it's going to take some time. Eddie Howe's done well there. I think they could finish top 4. They could finish lower, though. I think Champions League scheduling is really going to affect them because it's a lot of players on that team who've never played Champions League before. So we'll see how they do. I got them finishing 5th. Now for my top 4. Top 4 was hard. I'm not going to lie. But in fourth place, I got Manchester United. Erik ten Hag is still trying to figure this squad out. He's finally bringing in the players he wants. I don't know much about Højlund, the Atalanta player, but apparently he's got to be something if Ten Hag sees something in him. Mason Mount from Chelsea, I think he'll make him a world beater that a lot of people doubted him at. We know how Chelsea fans rate him. We'll see what everyone thinks of him and how he's going to do under Ten Hag. Onana's a big upgrade from De Gea, in my opinion. Johnny Evans, weird pickup. Very weird pickup. And they're supposedly looking at another center back, whether that be Tapsoba, Benjamin Pavard, or Todibo from Nice. Ten Hag has done excellent. They got Man United playing a good style of football. And they're back in the Champions League this year, so we'll see how they do. I still think they need a few extra players to make them challenge for titles. But Ten Hag has done really well since he's come in with all that Cristiano Ronaldo drama and everything and got them in top 4 last year. I think they'll be in top 4 this year and push for another cup, and then next year go for the title. Third place. It's my team, Chelsea. I think a lot of people have them lower. I think a lot of people have them in the fair position. I try to not be too biased with Chelsea. I think third is fair. I think even though they've brought in so many players like Christopher Nkunku, who's going to miss the next 3 months with injury, even with that, they've done well. Had looked really good preseason. I think Nicholas Jackson looks amazing. Malo Gusto looks amazing. Andre Santos is going to get his chance. Ian Matson's going to get his chance. Tyler Adams possibly coming in. Moises Caicedo is coming in. Levi Colwill, who's probably going to be the starting center back with Thiago Silva this season. Chelsea they could either, on paper, they're not the best team. On paper, they're not the best team. They could finish 8th for all we know, or 12th like last year. But I think third is going to be good. No European football. A lot of players have something to prove. We'll see how Chelsea do this year. I think third is a good position for them. I think they're going to have to readjust. I think Pochettino has done well. They got them playing a good style where they can attack more. And I think we'll have goals. Because that's the one thing Chelsea's been missing the last few years. That is goals. And I think Nicholas Jackson is that recruitment that people are going to be surprised about, if I'm honest with you. Again, possibly. If we don't get the recruitments, it could be worse for Chelsea. But I'm sticking with my instinct, and I have them finishing in third place. Now, who do I have finishing in first and second? Who do I have winning the title? Is it going to be Man City, or is Arsenal going to get their title finally after becoming so close last year? Who do I have in first place? I have Arsenal. I know a lot of people probably have Man City, and I can see why, and I wouldn't doubt that. But I think last year with Arsenal coming so close and not finishing the job, I think that's going to motivate them this year. I think they're going to come out with that experience now, knowing what it's like to lose, basically, and come out and destroy. I think they're going to come out and seek that title, even though they have Champions League this year as well. I think Arsenal are really going to go for it this year. And the additions of Timber and Declan Rice are great pickups. That is amazing pickups, especially Declan Rice. We know what he can bring. Jurriën Timber looked really good in preseason and in the Community Shield. And yes, Man City have brought in Vardiol. They're looking at Elise. They're looking at Paqueta from West Ham. But they also lost Gundogan, who I think was a very, very important player in that team. Mahrez is gone as well. Cancelo is possibly out the door. Yes, they have brought in recruitment very well. But I think Man City are going to be a little bit gassed out because they went and won the treble last year. They got the trophy they were looking for, which is the Champions League. Now it's about defending those titles. I don't think they will, honestly. I think Arsenal are going to come out guns blazing and probably win the title. I mean, I hate to say it as a Chelsea fan, but I really think Arsenal are going to go for it this year, and I think Arsenal are going to win it. I could be wrong, just like all other 19 teams, but I guess we'll see in May when I react to my predictions and how the season goes. Let me know what you guys think of my predictions down below. Do you think I did really well, or do you think I had an absolute stinker? Let me know what you would change. Let me know what you think, and I'm excited to see for this season to begin. I'm so glad football is back. I cannot wait. It's going to be a good one. As always, guys, like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you all in the next one.